Hi everybody, so it's Monday evening. Welcome back to another week of meals here on the SeeSaw, and we're starting the week with something really simple. So I put a whole chicken in the crock pot while I was at work today. When I got home I cooked up some pasta, shredded up the chicken, and I made a simple white sauce. So I used the all-in-one sauce method. If you look at Delia online, she has a really simple recipe for a white sauce where you just throw everything in. So I put 500 ml of fluid. I put half of it was chicken stock and half was milk. And then I just stirred into that some butter and some flour. Brought it up to a boil while I whisked it, and then just let it simmer for 5 minutes. And then I added to that a couple of good handfuls of grated Parmesan cheese and a tablespoon of Cajun seasoning to just give it a little kick. And then combined the sauce with the pasta and the shredded chicken, layered it up in a casserole dish with some mozzarella cheese. So there is a bit of mozzarella kind of halfway through and then some more on the top. And just popped it in the oven for 20 minutes just to melt the cheese and let all the flavours mix together. So really simple supper for a Monday night. Cajun chicken Alfredo pasta bake. Hi everybody, so it is Tuesday evening, and tonight we've got a really simple dish which is Korean mince bowls. If you've ever had Korean barbecue, it's really tasty. It's got a sticky sweetness to it, but it's got a real kick of heat, and it's a flavour profile that we really like. But making barbecue in the middle of the winter and in the middle of the week is not ideal. So this gives you all of those flavours, but with mince. And so this was ready literally in the time it took the rice to cook. So there is some white rice in the bottom of the bowl down there. And then the mince is just some onion, mince and garlic cooked together till it's browned. And then the sauce is a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, just regular light brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil, a 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes, that's what gives it the heat, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. You just whisk all of that together. Once the meat is cooked through, you pour the sauce in and just continue to cook it for a couple of minutes. And then I also stirred through some sliced spring onions at that point, and I've sprinkled some sesame seeds over the top. So really simple, really quite fiery. You could tailor the amount of red chili flakes you put in by putting less than 1/2 teaspoon. But I just feel if you're going to cook this, you need to kind of have it spicy, because if you don't put the pepper flakes in, then it's really just mince with a soy sauce and sugar mixture and some ginger, which is it's not the same. So if you don't like spicy food, this is probably not one for you. If you do like something with a real kick to it, then this might be something worth trying. I'm going to have a nice bowl of salad on the side to give me the vegetables. You could put vegetables into this, but it just comes together so quickly that it's really better if you don't. It has got some onion in it, and it's got some spring onions stirred through. And I'm just going to have a simple salad on the side, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, probably a bit of beetroot on it as well. So that is our Tuesday night dinner, Korean mince bowls. Hi everybody, so it's Wednesday evening, and tonight we're just having a simple fish pie. So in the bottom I've made a simple white sauce with half vegetable stock and half milk, along with a little bit of olive oil and some corn flour, because that doesn't clump as much as regular flour does, and it's also not as heavy in calories for corn flour. I seasoned it up with some salt and pepper and parsley. I then added some frozen peas, frozen corn, some chopped spring onions, and a couple of packages of the fresh fish pie mix. So it's got smoked haddock, salmon and cod in it. And then for the topping, I've got a combination of mixture of swede, carrots and potatoes, which I just steamed together and then mashed them up with a little bit of butter and some pepper. And then I've sprinkled cheese on the top and just popped the whole thing in the oven for about half an hour. So simple fish pie for dinner this evening. You can see the veggies, the peas and the sweet corn in there, and there are some really big chunks of fish. I put this one on a baking tray because this little pan is almost bubbling over. It was almost bubbling over once I put the vegetables on the top, and so as you can see, it's all spilled over. So definitely, if you haven't got one of those kind of wipe clean mats in the bottom of your oven, definitely use an old baking tray for stuff like this. So off to enjoy this on a Wednesday night. Hi everybody, so it is Thursday evening and tonight we've got a simple little meal of stuffed spicy chicken burritos. So this is just some chicken thigh fillets that I chopped up, cooked in the pan with some peppers and onions and a good sprinkling of, I've chosen to use Cajun seasoning, but you could use any of the kind of taco seasoning, fajita seasoning, you could even use jerk seasoning, anything that's got a nice little kick to it. I just happened to have some Cajun seasoning open, so I decided to use that. Then when it's all just cooked together, I probably cooked it for about 10 or 15 minutes altogether. I just rolled, I added a little bit, probably about a quarter of a can of chopped tomatoes to that as well. Then rolled it into the tortillas and rolled them up in burrito style. So burrito style is where you fold in the two sides and then roll, so everything is enclosed in like a little parcel, rather than enchiladas, which you tend to roll just almost like rolling a cigarette. No, they're just sort of rolling up with the open ends. So I rolled them, then I popped them in a casserole dish, put the rest of the chopped tomatoes over the top, and then I made a simple little topping with some natural yogurt, a little bit of corn flour mixed into it, and some grated cheese. I've poured that over the top, sprinkled with a little bit more cheese and a sprinkle of paprika, and then popped them in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes just to melt the cheese and let the flavours from the top all seep through into the wraps. So that is mine. I'm having it with a little bit of guacamole on the side. You can see the rest of the pan there with the rolled up burrito style enchiladas underneath. So a bit of a mixture between burrito and enchilada. There's not enough sauce really for it to be enchiladas, but burritos can often be eaten like in the hand, and these definitely need a knife and fork. So yeah, a little bit of a Southwest Tex-Mexy, although it is using Cajun seasoning, but that sort of flavour profile for our Thursday night supper. Hi everybody, so it's Friday night and we've got a simple pasta supper tonight. I was going to make some Bolognese bakes, but I just, again, a really busy week. I've been put in charge of our company's response to coronavirus, and it has just taken far more of my time than I had time to spend on it this week. So I've just cooked up some mince. I have resorted to a jar of Dolmio pasta sauce. Don't use jarred sauces very often, but I do always have one in the cupboard just in case, and tonight was definitely a just in case night. Then I mixed it with some spiral pasta. I picked up some little finger rolls at our local village shop, and I've just chopped those with some butter, a little bit of garlic powder and some cheese, and just popped them under the grill for a few minutes to give us kind of a garlicky bread. And then we've got some grated cheese to sprinkle over the top of the pasta. So that is our dinner tonight, a very simple pasta bolognese with cheesy garlic bread. Hi everybody, so it's Saturday evening and tonight we're having something just a little bit different. I've made empanadas, which are Mexican little like pastry pockets. So it's a bit like a samosa, a bit like a pasty. So it's just some puff pastry, and the filling is some mince, onion, garlic. Cooked that all together, added in some paprika, and then added in half of this size jar of 300 grams of salsa. I've used the spicy salsa, but you could use the mild if you like. You could also just use some chopped tomatoes. You don't want it really runny, obviously. And I rolled out the pastry, a 500 gram block of puff pastry, and I just cut it into 8 circles. Now I've got one of Caleb's old bowls from when he was little that's just the right size for this. It's 12 centimeters across. So I cut 8 of those. I put a big heaped tablespoon of the filling in each one, a little bit of water around the edges. You see they haven't all sealed completely, but they're not bad, not a bad seal on them. And the inside, I was going to cut one of these open actually before I started recording, but the inside you've got the layers of the flaky pastry, and then you've got the nice spicy filling. And we're having that with some chorizo rice and peas. So this is some onion, garlic, and some cooking chorizo, which I bought the ready chopped just because I was feeling a bit lazy today. The cooking chorizo, I cooked that all for about 5 minutes. until the treats have started to go a little bit crispy. Then I added in some frozen peas and some cooked rice and just let it all cook together for a couple of minutes until the peas were cooked through. So we're going to have the rice with the empanadas, and I'm going to have some more of the salsa on the side with mine. So something a bit different for a Mexican themed Saturday supper. Hi everybody, so Sunday evening, and tonight again something a bit of a variation on Sunday dinner for us tonight. We've got a good old fashioned, it's turkey and leek pie, but I've used mince to make it cook together more quickly. So I just cooked up, I don't know why that's looking pink, because it's definitely cooked. It was cooked in the pan before it went into the pie. But there is some bacon in there which gives it that pink tinge, I think. So I had two large leeks, which I halved and then cut them into like half moons, the white and the light green part. And then I had a large carrot, which I chopped, and a stick of celery. Cooked those all together with some 3 or 4 rashers of back bacon, which I just trimmed off the fat from, and added that in. And then a package of turkey mince. Let that all cook together, probably about 10 minutes or so. Then I sprinkled over 3 tablespoons of plain flour, some fresh thyme leaves, probably 2 or 3 sprigs of thyme, which I just pulled the leaves from, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and stirred that together for a couple of minutes. And then I added in 500 ml of boiling water, just let it all bubble up together, and again let it cook for about another 10 minutes with the boiling water in. Then I just let that cool. I popped it into my nice deep stoneware pie dish, and then I used a ready-made pastry crust rolled out and put that over the top. Cooked the whole thing together for about 25 minutes. So it's kind of made its own gravy. I did put a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in as well, just to season it up a little bit more. And then just before I put it into the pie dish, when it came off the heat, I stirred in the grated rind of 1 lemon. And that just pops the flavour out nicely. It doesn't make it taste like lemon chicken pie, but it does give it a nice kind of zing on the flavour. So you can see the pie juices in there, and that really does look, it looks like raw meat, doesn't it? It's really genuinely not. It's well and truly cooked. It's had 20 minutes on the stovetop and 20 minutes in the oven, so it's definitely cooked. Just rather strangely looks so pink, I don't know why. So yeah, that's our Sunday dinner. So we're having it with some buttered parsley new potatoes and some steamed extra vegetables, so plenty of vegetables between those and the vegetables, the carrots, leeks and celery inside. Yeah, really looking forward to this. Got a little bit of extra gravy on the side if anybody wants that. But Sunday night, turkey and leek pie with buttered new potatoes and steamed vegetables. So thank you for joining us for this week of meals. I hope you're all keeping well. Just see what the next week brings. A little bit worrying where we're going at the moment in terms of what the next decisions are going to be. So I've got, my mother lives in, or my mum lives in the next town to us, and she's in her 80s. So if this kind of shutdown of anybody over 70 happens, then that will definitely impact her. Although she's absolutely fine at the moment. So we shall see. But off to enjoy this before I start to worry about what next week might bring.